Hello and welcome. You're listening to the audio presentation of She Came From Nowhere, the novelization of a 13-book series. It is the story of a secret agent from a multiversal government agency discovering the location of God and taking action to kill her. The series covers the war between gods and mortals who create and destroy themselves and their worlds. The novels are written and performed by Caleb Morazi. If you would like to support the creation of this series and add input of your own, swing by patreon.com/shecamefromnowhere to become a secret agent. You'll get access to the entire novel, new series chapters as they become available, and audio from each. Link in the description. And now, enjoy Chapter 8. She Who Lurks in the Darkness. 1. Sebastian anxiously trips entering Connie's office. He didn't want to. She laughs. The more that Sikan found out about the Moulin city, the more excited she was to get there. The Rumans had foreseen the end of their world and developed one to survive for millennia after their bodies had died. She had personally lost so many people in her life that it made sense. She was ready to give up and join this civilization in their morgue. All the deaths in her life honed her. She would slip in unnoticed and rise to power. We have to move quickly, Marilyn says, or you'll forget they're all just ghosts. By flashing their CIB credentials, the agent was able to secure them their own sarcophagi. Sikan had never experienced her own death before. She left her body and walked out of the crypt. Looking back, she could see the diners closing the lid over where she lay. She smiled, feeling lighter than she ever had as they entered the city. Connie helps him up. I missed you. He knew now why he wasn't seen as a threat. 2. Certain was adopted by one of the most powerful families of Moulin, who gave him whatever he wanted. Oddities were cherished here, so the Illic took full advantage. He knew immediately that his niece had entered the cybersphere. He wasn't worried about what her friends were planning for him. He could sense that she would see this as an opportunity. Together they would rule. He only had to continue to draw her. His status allowed him to study the algorithms of their reality, and he had big plans. Given his host's popularity, he was able to hobnob with century-old spirits who lived there. They found him quite charming. He almost felt bad for his plans. Due to the finite code that held their inner space together, his appearance was stabilized. For the first time since he left home, people knew him and recognized him. Truthfully, it was the single fact that caused him to take so long to institute his plan. Now that Sikan was here, however, he knew what had to be done. He didn't want to dishonor his people. They were warriors, born to rule. If he didn't, she'd have to. Even as he activated his counter code, he could feel his new friend's disappointment. The changes, while subtle, began at once, and Sikan, in her new cyberskin, sensed it immediately. She ditched the group she'd come with and flew, zeroing in on Certain. She landed next to him on a moonlit balcony. Is this who you wanted to become, Uncle? I am who I was made to be, little one. There was no choice. I was molded by fate and forced to it. If I'm not who I'm supposed to be, why haven't I been stopped? 3. I figured I should lay low and let the otter deal with her, Terrence says to Flockhart in the old man's janitor closet. I don't deserve to be alive, but I would like to keep it this way. Live long enough, and your choices become pretty consistent, regardless of how much the world changes, is the gravelly reply. I worked hard to bring the end, you know. Maybe not this exact configuration, but the point is moot if we reach the goal. Terrence hears but doesn't grasp his mentor's meaning. I'm sure you're not trying to bring about the Bureau's downfall. That would mean giving up your life's work. It would, he replies. If you ever get to my age, you'll see the folly of ambition. I respect you, the agent says peevishly, but still talk like that and you'll get glass-cubed. The former headmaster puts up his hands. No offense, sir, he says, but you know that I was the one who made her who she is. If you ever gain foresight, you'll understand that you don't need to hide from that girl. It's me. I'm the one who terrifies you. The younger man laughs. You may think you're above all this, but the end is coming for us all. Even you, your crustiness. You only cheat the creeper for so long. 4. Sakan readies herself for a fight, circling her uncle with her wings out and her claws extended. I don't want to do this, but you've lost your mind. Countless worlds are reeling under the insanity of what you've released. I challenge you to Rilhix Hawk. Certain doesn't bother to defend himself, instead sitting on a cushion. I know you didn't come all this way to stop me. I fought too many battles by your side. CAK_BRD sees the null1L_KANs pummeled before people give in to the Ferbtex. Despite being in the presence of the being who created and continued to give them life, the owl-like hamsters took back control of almost every world. They were indestructible and indifferent to all opposition, eventually wearing down the resistance. They simply did what they were bred to do, look adorable, and rapidly multiply. People were free while Sakui was there, but fell into captivity when she left. In every world where there was loss, CAK_BRD inundated the planet, destroying everyone in his way. He offered them an alternative: submit willingly and live to serve him. Rayan taps Marilyn's shoulder, pointing at a shop window where Ferbtech are on sale. That didn't exist a few clicks ago, he says. We didn't design a digital model. Certain must have altered the room in code and brought them down here on his own. Across all realities, virtual and otherwise, Ferbtech chirp happily to themselves. They wanted to help all the creatures who were alone to work for the greater good. So without understanding why, the Rumans of Mulan flocked to the store, and Marilyn's crew laughed merrily with them, getting caught up in the frenzy. They couldn't help themselves, they said to each other. The little things were just so darn cute. A new network opened in the Emperor's mind link, and he could see he couldn't put actual no1Ls_KANs in place, so Brightmind started coding virtual ones. So Queeb's Ferbtech saw it, and she was sad for them, but happy that they were together. Like those in living worlds around them, the dead of the cyber reality who saw through the adorable creatures and wanted no part in it started fighting back against them, using code in the same way as others have been using weapons in other worlds. However, like in every world, the Ferbtech did not care and kept expanding. The null1L_KANs bolstered their strength, disguising themselves as ordinary objects. The older Elec grabs Sakan's wrist as she strikes without even glancing her way. Many have died to make this possible, little one. Our rise to power is inevitable. The proud warrior tries to reverse her uncle's hold, but Certain flips her to the floor, putting his clawed foot on her chest. You no longer have to pretend, he says. We are no longer the prey, running and hiding. We are the world-devouring predators. 5. Ever rocket punches a hole through the Raven compound's wall, making an entrance for his alien shipmates to enter. Large, all-black birds charge at them with weapons raised and cawing loudly. You want me to hold them off, he yells to Zimmerman. Don't show your hand just yet, lad. Let us take a look at the tech first. Make them feel like we're not a threat, otherwise they'll send a whole squadron down on us. The man from nowhere reads the data on his HUD. I'm going to cut out their communications, he says, and the entire compound goes dark. Should buy you some time. Go after the one in the suit the Ravan leader caused. We'll get the others later. Their plasma weapons light up the darkness, goose splattering on Ever's armor, dissolving the titanium alloy casing. Help will be nice, Griff, he calls over his radio. Anyone coming back without something useful goes out the airlock, Zimmerman shouts. Grab anything that looks like medical supplies and we'll analyze it later. Brunhild gives high-tech wands to the captain. Zimmerman squints at it in the low light. Take him, he says, as a goose splatters through the opening, hitting his crewmate. Griffin's mech suit lights wash over the Raven commandos, feathers flying as he steps in and starts swinging, throwing the birds into the walls. I thought I wanted to do this mission alone, Ever says, but I think I may have gotten in a little over my head. Captain Zimmerman drags his wounded engineer through the hole, handing the wands to Ever. See if you can figure these out. We may need them sooner than expected. More Raven troops pour in as the lights come back on. Time's up, lads, the alien yells to his crew. You two better be the last ones in the transporter, he says to Ever. Ever glances at Griffin with wide eyes, and the two of them place themselves between the retreating pirates and the large all-black birds. "Don't let me die, Griff," Ever yells over the sound of the plasma weapons. "I still haven't gotten to see everything yet." 6. Tina hunkers with Wharton in a cave, both covered in blood. The undead blacking out the light as they crowd the entrance. "We be okay," she says to the battered warrior. "Not many now. Kill me if I be like them. You too," she says, and the off-worlder nods. The tiny warrior launches herself into the swarm, not caring if she survives. She knew it was necessary to cull their numbers if the people were going to experience peace. Hearing the shrieks of their slaughtered comrades, the undead turn from her. Wharton readies to fight the ferocious beast before seeing it approach. "Treatin'!" Without stopping her murderous rampage, Tina slashes her way through the mob to the newly arrived Illic. "You bring this on us. You stay until you see it fixed," she says. "I wasn't the one who did this to you, young one," Triton says before sinking his teeth into the neck of an undead. He spits coagulated blood and continues. "I'm sure it's caused you great pain. We have business to attend to, but we'll make it right." 7. He's even moved into the cyberverse, Sebastian says to Connie as they sip tea in the tall-backed velvet chairs near the fireplace. "There's no place that he'll leave untouched, and you're the only one capable of stopping him." Despite her abilities, she legitimately feared the confrontation. Sure, she could bend the fabric of space-time, but he changed the landscape of the multiverse with his sheer will alone, coupled with brute force. She was lucky to have the Otter as a friend since he genuinely cared about her success. Sebastian didn't want to be in the position, but he understood the alternative and didn't like it, so he wielded the only weapon he had, friendship, against the mind link. Connie resented the fact that she was being put in a position to defend the things that she sought to destroy. All free life rested on her shoulders, though, and she longed for the days when she was simply in charge of investigating paranormal activities. But certain moving in the digital worlds was personal, like he wanted to provoke her. "If I could be so bold, miss," says the Otter, putting his tea down, "we can't delay any longer. Certain threat must be addressed now. The worlds need your leadership." Connie smiles. Rayon's device is closing in, devouring everything in its path. Only the Illic have remained unscathed, and they're raising an army to aid. The woman takes Sebastian's arm, rising. "This whole thing feels like my fault somehow. I've been sitting by and had the power to do something about it." Terrence meets them en route to the transverser. "He really brought this on us all." "You want this," Certain says, handing Sakana digital Ferb Tech. CAK_BRD's No1L_KAN's move to Lysander's morgue, taking over the diners in the real world. They place real Ferb Techs into everyone's arms, including the Illic and her companions. Those in the cyberverse who thought they'd been disconnected from the rest of reality forever were finally reconnected to everything, experiencing lives on countless worlds. Rumans who thought they were unique revolted as they repeatedly met themselves. Try as they might, they couldn't break free, their minds trapped in two realities. "Be calm, pets," Certain says through his link with CAK_BRD. "I'm freeing you all from the burden of choice. You don't need it. You all make terrible decisions anyway." As Certain surveyed everything he conquered, he saw holes in his network, namely the CIB, the Phoenix Club, his homeworld, and where all the highest goats overlapped on Pixin. He was miffed that he didn't have them yet, but he knew that he would. "He wanted this," Terrence says in the transverser. "He's tired of being alive." "We should have done something sooner," Connie frets, stepping into the morgue. "I knew what he was doing, and instead of taking action, I played it safe. It was so foolish of me." "Clans, we cannot wait any longer," Triton shouts on Centric. "He's coming. The worlds are overrun. We'll be outnumbered, but we will fight. We are warriors." Diners block their way, Ferbtex extended towards them, and Sebastian says, "No thanks. I appreciate the offer." And he draws his phasic disruptor, powering it up. No1L_KAN step from the shadow as the mindlink corpses rise from the graves. Around the agents, the air shimmers as transversers appear from all over the multiverse, Connie's dark army pouring out from them. As his memories are replaced, Sebastian realizes she hadn't made plans until that second, and suddenly they'd always been. In fact, they'd been planning this assault for years before they even identified the threat. The multitude of creatures being led by the otter had been trained to a point. Dark CIB agents set to work excising Furbtech and hacking the no1L_KANs. At that moment, certain roses succumbed from the sarcophagi, and they leaped in unison for the young reality bender, their claws tearing her to pieces. She never saw it coming. Never in a million years did she suspect they were entombed so close to her, and once they removed her head from her shoulders, she was powerless to do anything to stop them. She could have blinked them out of existence, but instead, her eyes stayed open. 8. The satyr who owns and operates the highest goat serves Sarah Kay a honey badger blitz as she continues her story. I finally got what I wanted, Cookie. It hit me in a sudden rush. It makes me completely sick that so many people died for me to get it. She sips her drink as the goat man wipes the counter. I'm the only one in the multiverse informed enough to make things right, but I'm afraid I'll become a target. I'll be real frank with you, Miss Klee, because I'm the only one who can be. Step up. Sarah Kay blinks like she was slapped. People are counting on you. Don't dither. The proprietor keeps cleaning and the CIB's acting director says, by the powers, you're right. She finishes her drink, getting up. If I want peace, I have to make it. Atta girl, Cookie smiles, and Sarah Kay gets her coat, stepping out of the door portal into downtown Central. Was she concerned about what the future was holding for her? Absolutely. Was it going to stop her from trying to do her best? Hopefully not. 9. Terrence, dapper in his pinstripe suit, crouches with Sebastian behind an open coffin, their weapons drawn. She's dead, man. These things happen. But pull yourself together. We'll mourn her later, but now we have to finish what she started. The other knew he couldn't let her down. All the faith she'd put in him, all the resources. The more they had learned about Certain's mind link, the harder they trained. A dark agent hits the floor, face gone, quantum compensator sliding across the marble towards Terrence, and he picks it up. I want to undo everything that they are. He zaps all the eyepiece-wearing corpses with the device, watching them unwind into dust. Come on, Sebastian, you're missing it. The compensators unleash quantum energy on the diners and the no1Ls_KANs, causing them to completely vanish. Stop fighting us, Sakan yells from the shadows. Don't you see that we want to help you? All of us joining together is good for every being in the entire multiverse. You realize how pointless your life is when you understand the scope of all reality. Give up all your selfish goals and worthless dreams. We are offering you so much more. Someone has to take a stand against you, Terrence yells back, firing pot shots toward the voice. The CIB is failing, but we're the last of the free-thinking creatures left. I'm not going to willingly let you take it from us. Sebastian, help me out here. Reinforcements pour into the morgue with their no1L_KANs, and Terrence fires until the compensator jams. He crouches, saying, they're about to overwhelm us. Sebastian yells to his agents, execute maneuver 26D. From all over, creatures leap onto the no1L_KANs, slapping frequency indicators on the machines and disappearing. The well-dressed agent looks at his companion, terrified. Where are they going? Come with me unless you plan on fighting them yourself here, Sebastian says. We're taking the fight to its source. They both leap onto a no1L_KAN and disappear. 10. Zimmerman examines the scar he received from Captain Rayon's electrosaw during the mutiny. He hadn't wanted to overthrow the captain. He was only trying to get respect for the way he took control of the ship. Then everything got out of control. Since then, he had to sleep with one eye open because he could sense that Gurrig Wolf, a true warrior who had helped him take the ship, was readying himself for the captain's seat. He knew the recruits would help. He tested them, and they had returned unscathed. Nothing seemed to shock Griffin. He was a creature who had seen it all. He had faced his own mortality and had come to peace with his life. He didn't know everything, and he knew it, so he absorbed everything he could from the world around him. It was that calm that the alien knew he could rely on if things went sideways. They entered the transporter code for the infinite hallway. He stuck his head inside it. What was Ever's world like before it was compressed to less than the size of an atom? He had to wonder. What was it like being with that absolute power like his? He never saw the attack coming. One moment he is lost in his thoughts, and the next he's bound on the floor of his stolen ship at the previous captain's feet. You know what I want more than anything else in the universe, Ryan asks, his blood boiling. A metal fish smashes the floor panel between them. Not to be so ugly, Ever asks. Ryan blasts the man with a sonic boomer into the wall. Watch the suit, he moans. The alien ex-captain blasts him again. The ship's hull crumples around Ever, locking him in place. Cracks begin hissing as the ship's atmosphere escapes. Believe me, lad, I'd rather watch my ship implode in on itself before I see another one captain her. Ever struggles to get out of his mech suit, the vacuum of space pulling him backwards. You might just see more than that implode if you're not careful. Captain, wait, Zimmerman yells. I'll find another world. The ship's yours. Griffin knocks the boomer out of Rand's hand, sending the alien flying with it. The wolf-faced agent leaps, using his jet boots to propel him across the hold, catching the fallen captain and pinning him against the wall. Griffin looks back to where Zimmerman sits. With all this tech, you really should have an alarm for intruders. His young companion kicks out of his suit, helping the current captain get free. I'm not sure an alarm would have helped. I let him in, Gerg says, his disruptor pointed at them. I want you to let go of my captain and I'll find your way off this ship. No problem, Zimmerman says. Right, guys? Griffin? No harm done. I mean, you have a hard time fixing the hull breach without me, but we're just leaving. Griffin lowers Ryan, Ever climbing out of the mech suit, as they exit through the hallway. 11. You're not fooling me, Griffin, Ever says. You're walking us into a trap. It'll be fine, the agent says, opening the door to Ahriman. The CIB is in flux. They step into Juan Serrano's office, setting off an alarm. The old man swivels in his chair, smiling. Griff, he says, as a mech-suited Englishman and a loincloth-wearing warriors rush in. Can't be too careful, he says, as he struggles up on his feet. Watch yourself, old man, Ever says. I could end this all right here, right now. Griffin puts a hand on his friend's shoulder. Don't mind him. He hasn't slept. I don't understand how you're capable of sleeping with all we've had going on. We're hunted refugees, surrounded by drunk pirates and wild creatures everywhere. Juan Serrano makes an incredibly subtle gesture, and a warrior raises a blowgun, hitting Ever with a dart. The boy drops instantly, Zimmerman catching him. Thanks, Griffin says. He really needed that. I'm telling you, that boy is really high-strung. The CIB director nods, and the wolf-faced agent gets out of his suit, the guards disbanding. He wasn't joking about his power, though. He'll be the death of me. 12. Go, Certain says to Sakan as the last no one L_KAN disappears from the morgue. Find your doppelganger and end her. I'll face this threat. He sinks to the floor. Through their quantum bonds, Sakan could see Sakui in many places at once, but could also tell the Imogen was coming to cohesion somewhere in the corridor. Using the Rumen's collective knowledge, the Illic flies through the desert to the world's exit. When Certain opens his eyes in CAK_BRD's mind, the war was well underway. As much as he tried to seduce Central's dark agents with adorable Ferb tech, he kept being shut down due to the agent's hardened nature against anything good or kind. Certain exits his body and takes control of the Emperor, leaving nothing to chance. The whole Mind Link rejoiced at his arrival, sensing that he was the source of their power. Instead of focusing on the entire battle at once, they now only placed one eyepiece on an agent at a time. He was taking heavy losses, but he kept creeping, agent by agent. Combatants approached his throne room, and he had to move underground. Sakan entered the Raven's world where she could feel the convergence beginning to happen. The Imogen was growing tired. Not physically, she was the source of life everywhere. More so she could see the worlds weren't ready to trust her. Underground, Certain continued conducting the battle above, allowing agents to think they were winning when he was actually luring them into a false sense of security. 13. Wanting to destroy every circuit in the Emperor's palace, Sebastian loses his footing. He grimaces in pain, catching his breath and trying to figure out how he'd gotten here. He left a war-torn world when the Karns had broken free, killing his family because their guardian had followed the creature. He'd been so mad thinking that he would get justice for them, and yet here he was, defending the multiverse from something else. In the rug, he'd seen it was her fault. but it really only gave them what they craved. Unlike everyone else who came to power, the Imogen hadn't tried to control them. The Arda wanted to destroy the thing that brought him pain, but the more that he understood the creature, the more he understood that pain was coming regardless. The reason Cartons turned violent wasn't because of the Imogen, but because they had been heavily oppressed. Perhaps it was the same for the creature behind the firm deck. The Arda realized he couldn't win. Fear was a battle raging through all time and space.
End of Chapter 8. Thank you for listening to this audio presentation of She Came From Nowhere, a series novelization written and performed by Caleb Morazi. If you'd like to read more of this book, read chapters from the series, listen to audio, and further support the development of this project, please go to patreon.com/SheCameFromNowhere, link in the description. Please like, share, and subscribe this video. Until next time, we'll see you soon.